Hello again and welcome back to Ziggurat. This is my first video back from vacation. So, I'm actually going to play on easy. I've only got 2 people that I haven't beaten the game on yet. I have Sid, the low stats but quick leveler, and Corvus, the vampire. So I'm going to take Corvus. I'm going to take him out on easy. Let's try this. Corvus is a vampire. I'll show you what abilities he starts out with as soon as I pick up this ice grenade. So, Corvus gains health from knowledge gems. Pretty nice. But he also loses health constantly. So, there's not going to be a lot of wandering around. I'm probably not going to look for any mystery rooms or hidden rooms or anything. And I'm probably going to die simply because I can't fight enough. Polar Blast, it freezes a small area, creates dangerous ice shards. I'm not going to show you in here because I need to find enemies. So as you can see, freezes them in place, drops some ice shards for them to walk on. This move's actually like super powerful against carrots. So just drop it on them. It works better when there's a group of them, but oh, and I forgot to say, his wand, very powerful attack, but slow. That guy was supposed to land that at me. Nicholas Surge uses powerful magic. Yeah, it's basically a Tesla coil wand. Show it off in a second. I've actually never used this one before, but okay. As you can see, all enemies seem to have poison abilities added to their attacks. So as you can see, it's a sustained laser. It doesn't actually look like the ult fire does anything particularly different to the main fire, but how quick it happens, I didn't really have a lot of time to check just now. I just picked up a nice little staff, so I'm going to take channeling and hope that I can pick up some type of healing or regeneration amulet at some point. As you can see, against small enemies, it rips right through them. I'm gonna try to save up as much as I can for the boss for that. That looks like an art. That shouldn't be too much of a problem. Wounds could definitely be a lifesaver with this guy. It won't remove his, like, I don't think I can just ignore his health over time. Debuff, like natural debuff. One problem with this is that the ice will actually damage me if I step in it, which means that using this against enemies, or large groups of enemies, could be pretty risky. I could end up wasting mana and not being able to pick up the experience crystals because it just lasts too long. Ooh, that's a tempting one. I do have a ton of health. So if I can reduce the cost of my ice crystals, as you can see, I'm already like 50,000. If I can reduce that cost, although one major problem, I probably should went to that health. So as you can see, I actually have to run all the way over here, pick this up, and then run all the way back over there. That's gonna be at least 30 health missing from the boss fight. I'm already at like minus 60, so. Gun card. Why do I keep calling it gun art? Yeah, the alt and primary fire for this don't actually seem to have any major differences. I think because of what it is, it's kind of just like a, well, you're shooting lightning at somebody, so, like, seriously, what would the alt fire be? Like, maybe just like a single zap or something? I don't know. Yeah, I'm definitely taking that. It's kind of like one of those guilty ones for me, because I do like the ice bomb, like, yeah, what was it, the Arctic bomb? But, I don't know, the porcupine bomb, like, was literally, like, my key to my first win. It's kind of my old, like, good old favorite type thing. That, and it doesn't hurt me, which is one thing I really do dislike about the Ice Blast. Get rid of all those again. There's a banshee right there. I think that was everyone. Wrong colored mana to give me, man. Let's see. Man, that I'm gonna take Husk. One, because I've never I don't think I've had it before. I think I've recently unlocked it. Actually, I think it was like a recent update item for just added. But also, because of the way this guy works, running in and grabbing gems for a little bit of health, like that's like it's only a second, but the second good vulnerability in the middle of the fight. Not the amulet I want, but that is one of the spells I like. Tiger Amulet doubles damage. The spell I just picked up, Frozen Soul. Yeah, like I think this is actually the basic spell, like the first spell you unlock, or one of the first spells you have before you even unlock anything. I don't know, I just love this spell. It's probably one of my favorite moves in the game. Yeah. It's kind of a little disappointing, though, in its ult fire, because its ult fire is basically just an effect. Because I can shoot the normal one, and it blows out as like a shotgun effect. But if I use the ult fire, it has less shards, so it does less damage, but it has a 100% chance of freezing, or maybe like a 90% chance of freezing or something like that. So it's a little bit disappointing because there doesn't really seem to be any major advantage from ult firing. Like, it doesn't change it, it's just, well, you have a chance to freeze, or you will freeze. And it's kind of one thing that disappoints me a lot with some of the options you have in this game, is that's how they kind of did a lot of them, where you could either have a chance with your basic, or it will happen with your ult. One of the fire attacks, I think it's one of the guns, like the ult fire, basically puts the like it changes the color of the fire, so the fire does less damage, but it will stun enemies, whereas normally it's only like a chance to stun. And like there are a couple of ones, like one of the newer items, like one of the new staffs that was added is called the Gemini staff. It has a I'm trying to think of what it is. It has a two-shot thing that goes through people. It shoots out like two shots that wiggle between each other, that is capable of moving through targets and piercing multiple enemies. Or it shoots out four that once they hit the target, they just end. and it's actually a pretty strong attack. See, I'd normally look for cracks, but this guy you don't really have the time to waste. It's sad. Like, there's a couple of places that seem really obvious for it too, but nothing on the way. No, I'm so sorry. Anyway, as I was saying, so it's kind of nice because it has the advantage of being both. Oh, I need this right. It has the advantage of being both a strong. Oh, just open up your mouth one more time, and I promise I'll give you this. Has the advantage, like it has a nice little advantage because you can use it as like a single target mass damage. Man, I'm so stupid. I have the perfect weapon to kill her. Lady Audrey is probably one of the worst, like she's probably one of the best, but she's the worst boss for this guy. Because you take a lot of pointless damage in this fight. Screw it. Long range. Let's see here. Increase my wand's attack rate, or I do not want to lower my mana pool. I do not have enough mana to do that. Okay, yeah, we're good. Anyway, as I was saying, like, you could use it as kind of like a weak room clear. It's great against, like, the carrots. Like, 2 or 3 shots into a line of carrots, you take out an entire army. But it's also nice because the, let's see, what is this? The Fire Weaver? Yeah, this is the one I was talking about actually. Like, or this one's kind of like what I was talking about. Like, you could either use fire that damages or fire that stuns. Ooh, that's like, seriously? It's like, anyway, back to what I was saying. It's nice because you can either use it to clear out a bunch of small enemies, or use it as like very fast, high damage to the single target. But at the same time, it's also kind of one of those like, well, I mean, there are better attacks for taking out entire rooms, and there are better attacks for taking out single targets. But I guess that's also kind of part of the dilemma, like, that's the creator's dilemma, or whatever it's called. You're like, yeah, people say they want something brand new, like, yeah, we want new and innovative and different, but whenever you actually come out, or whenever a developer or programmer or inventor comes out with something new, people complain like, well, why is this buggy? Why is this brand new thing not as good as this thing that's already existed for 20 plus years? And, like, that's just kind of like, oh, well, I mean, hell, just look at MMOs, for example. Everybody complains how MMOs aren't as good as WoW. Like, none of the other MMOs have nearly as big of a fan base or have as much content as WoW. I'm like, well, yeah, the thing that's been out for 10 years has had a little bit more time to work on things than the thing that's been out for 10 minutes. mean, that shouldn't inherently make one better or worse than the other, but it does, and, like, people think it does, at least. Magic Missile is great, but I'm gonna go for Ignore Wounds again, because, as I said earlier, not taking damage is better than just about everything else. But yeah, it's actually kind of one thing, like I've been noticing that or hit a lot lately, especially like when D&D, because like you have like role playing. It's a pretty big show on YouTube. You may or may not have seen it, where people play D&D and a few other tabletop pen and paper RPGs. Which, I mean, it's great that they're getting kind of back into life, especially this year, because this year's when 5e launched. And it was also kind of one of those things where, like, people started watching it more, people became more aware of it, and just in general, it's a community that kind of forget about every couple of years. It's like, yeah, when 4 launched, they had the freaking starter packs at Walmart for 4. And, like, you could pick up literally, you could pick up, like, the handbook and the Dungeon Master's Guide. You couldn't pick up a Monster Manual, or at least I never saw one. But you could pick those up at Walmart. But, like, it was only for, like, a 6-month period. After that, it seemed almost like everybody forgot about it. That is a horrible thing to happen. We'll see. That's kind of bad too. Let's see here. What did I do? New spell. Arcane Storm. Is this the one where I should throw lightning? Yeah, I am not using that. Screw that. I need to get to a fight. Please don't be on the look this way. But anyway, it's like, as I was saying, like, their primary, like, the primary roleplay they have, solo, just recently changed over to 5e, which is great, because I like 5e. I was playtesting 5e, and it's like, I started with, 3-0. Like, I think the first campaign I ever ran, like, not ran, first campaign I was ever in was 3-0. Then a couple of, then I kind of bounced between a group that did 2 and a group that did 3 for a couple of years. And I did a couple of 4 campaigns, and, like, I don't know, I don't mind 4. Like, it's kind of like everybody bitches at 4, and I'm just like, I never really had any problem with it. None of the campaigns I ever ran seemed to be just like so overpowered that players would never die. Like, no, every time I ran a campaign in 4, if I was the DM, people died constantly. If I was a player, like, I don't think I ever lost a character in 4, but I know, like, my teams would lose characters constantly. But I was always like the cleric, so people would try to keep me alive a little bit more than some others, or than they did. This is actually a great weapon for the Oculus group. I actually didn't see that coming. But now comes the hassle of I actually have to pull this thing out. anyway, as I was saying, and it's kind of been like a little bit of a bother because you have like they just changed over their main game to 5, and the DM for their main game, Neil or Koibu, he's been running a modified 2, like a self-modified 2. I will take that. He's been running them through a self-modified 2, where he changed all the rules for healing and he changed all the rules for healing, and he added a bunch of personal things that he liked. And 5, being new, has a bunch of stuff that isn't his personal. Like, his little personal, he added it to make 2.5 better, or he had, like, made his own 2.5. And it's kind of one of those, like, well, I mean, tough shit. And I've been watching, like, they've done, like, 2 or 3 shows with 5, and it's like, all the other DMs like, oh yeah, this is just a new system. We're gonna have to use the books, and yeah, we'll figure this out. But with him, like, he just doesn't seem to give two shits about what the rules say. And he's like, oh no, I'm gonna make this up, or I'm gonna do this my way. And it's just kind of like been a bit of a disappointment because, well, I playtested 5 back when it was X, and I've been running that, and it's like, yeah, I had a little bit of trouble with some of the rules real early, but I mean, most of the rules are pretty straight up and obvious, and then you go in and it's like, the things that aren't, like yeah, you're like, oh, you need to look something up, it has an index. If you need to figure out a rule or something, like, it's pretty self-explanatory within the text. There's a couple of things that, like, do kind of say bounce to other texts, but I mean, that's kind of how the player handbooks and the core books for every game run. You're like, oh yeah, if you want to make an attack roll, well, go to the attack roll go to the attack section. So, but yeah, as I was saying, but that's kind of like one of those, like, well, people keep saying that they want innovation, they want something new, but as soon as somebody brings something new out, people always complain because it's not the same old thing that they've been using. So, like I was saying with that, like, you can really see, like, he did his own, like, Koibu's Corners, where he kind of talked about it. He's like, yeah, it's a fine system, and he kind of, like, gave it, like, his unofficial thumbs up, I guess, on his channel. But at the same time, while he's going through, he basically says, like, when he goes through, he's actually playing it and actually DMing it, he turns around and he keeps saying, like, oh yeah, I don't like this, I don't like that. Like, well, why didn't you bring any of this stuff up in your little video that you were talking about earlier? Or better yet, why don't you talk about this stuff? It's like just kind of one of those, like, I don't know if you're not liking this because it's not yours. Like, oh yeah, this isn't the game that you modified, so it's not your personal rule set where you are basically, like, yeah, you could make up rules and nobody'd be able to question you because you wrote the rules. Not saying that he's done that, but I don't know. Some of the things that happen seem to be mighty coincidental on there. And it's like, I mean, I understand the whole, sometimes you fudge the dice for a better story. I mean, I disagree with the theory, but I understand a lot of people do it, but I don't know. lots of stuff. And hell, at the same time, like, if I remember right, the guy ended up, like, just getting married and all that stuff, so he could actually love the system, and he's just been so busy he hasn't been able to read the rules, and he's been stressed out too much. I shouldn't be saying too much or anything. It's just kind of one of the things I've noticed. Like, yeah, people who, like, mostly it seems to be the people who keep constantly asking for updates and new versions and cooler things seem to be the first people to complain how their new, cooler thing doesn't work the same way as their old, not as cool, not as new thing. I'm going to take Mana Still. It gives me a little bit of mana whenever I pick up a Knowledge Crystal. It works in a very similar way to my healing. I will definitely take that. I'm not a big fan of that. Well, apparently the alt fire does actually have a different sound. Is that an invisible necromancer? So there might actually be a difference between the alt and the primary fire. They do have different sounds to them. Sorry if I haven't said anything for like a minute or two. I'm trying to pay attention to the fights, and at the same time I'm trying to kind of remember if I can remember any of the path. Which I know sounds kind of dumb. I'm trying to remember something. That shaking is. Must be standing too close to the obelisk. Although, what I would give to be able to exchange, like, trade out my spell mana from a staff mana at the moment. Especially with this amulet I have. This staff and this amulet, like I can just melt bosses. What was that? I'm gonna take life awareness again, because we're scared of shit that we're going to run out of health. Because running out of health means wow, we've killed almost 1,000 cockatrice. Final floor. It just gives us a standard Firestone grenade, honestly. One thing that this game does need is like some type of way to bypass rooms. Kind of like how in Binding of Isaac, how you can like just walk out of a room. Like, yeah, it costs you something, but and it's like, yeah, you're gonna get the experience, or you don't get experience, you don't get like the reward for beating it, but at the same time, it's kind of one of those. It could probably, if they don't do it right, it could definitely break this game. Like, yeah, I'm just going to get the whatever item that allows me to get out. I'll find a room with a lot of weak enemies, like maybe like an infirmary room or something. I'll kill a bunch of enemies and charge up that item, and then I'll warp out, and then I'll come back and start getting more experience, and I'll be level 30 by the time I leave the first floor. Like, who cares that it took me an hour? I'm level 30. I'm a little bit proud of myself. Like I know I'm on easy mode, and that I'm like, yeah, I should definitely be doing better. But, like I should be on normal mode, but this is like the first time I've actually been able to beat this guy. Like I don't want to say it's him. It's just I don't know. I just have a lot of trouble getting used to this guy's rhythm. And I think another thing, or like just, I think one of the biggest things with this guy in the past is I didn't have all the things that unlocked back then. And it's like, just let me finish fighting lands. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Up. Let's go for an upgrade. It's worth the risk. Dang. Wait, does that not do what I think it does? I guess it doesn't. I thought that actually... No, that's shuffle. Man, I'm an idiot. Anyway. But as I was saying, well, one, this staff that's kind of carried me through the frickin' boss rooms wasn't even out until like a month ago. So, but some of these abilities like Husk and Ignore Wounds and well, I guess mostly just Husk and Ignore Rooms. Because regeneration's basically just a modified version of a Warcry. But, yeah, like, I didn't have them before this run through. So it's, or not before this run through, but like on previous run throughs of this guy. Like, there were just a lot of abilities I didn't have, and I kind of also built him wrong. Like, it's one of those things I can definitely see it now, seeing a successful run with him. But one thing I used to actually do is build him a lot like I build other people, is with high agility so that I can get in and out of fights. Because, like I've said before, avoiding damage and being able to ignore and mitigate damage is the most important thing for like a roguelike. At least in my opinion. Because, yeah, if you can put out a lot of damage, but unless you can stand there and take that damage while you're putting yours out, well, who gives two shits what you can do? My cat just opened my door. Hope you can ignore the meowing for a moment as the cat finds its way to its hole. Anyway, so there we go. Let's check out our stats. Only took us 40 minutes to run through. We didn't get nearly all the rooms. Like I skipped, like I could have spent longer, like or spent longer. No, like I think I skipped a lot of rooms, or a lot more rooms than I meant to. But yeah, I know I skipped like almost the entire hidden floor. But yeah, it was fun, and hopefully I'll be able to get a little bit more into the groove and start doing this again. So